it's a two-way thing, really, because women and children are being killed back in the Islamic State right now.
The depths of disgust are something to easily find oneself lost in. A visceral, emotional experience from the gut mixed with rage and anger. It feels like a reflex, as if there was a natural reaction to evil. The anger gives us the illusion of justification, but that is in the end all it really is, an illusion. There is no wisdom to be found in repugnance. The foundations of our society are based on thought, to think before we act, to consider, to deliberate, to never just act for the purpose of acting, but to have justification and reason behind what and how we conduct ourselves. There is a group of British citizens who betrayed their country. They chose to go and join a vicious death cult at war with Britain. They decided to support that death cult's war efforts against Britain. They even kept supporting the death cult right up to the end, and some even beyond. People like John Amory, Allied traitors during the Second World War. They were not as numerous as you may think, but there were still a handful. 11 British citizens, 1 New Zealander, and 7 Americans. People who spied for the Axis. Fascists who came to join the SS, and others who joined them to do propaganda for them. What all of them have in common is what also sets the precedent on what to do with people who make such decisions. They were all wanted men and women after the end of the war. Leave them in Germany, leave them in Japan, was not considered an option by the Allied nations. All of them were hunted down, arrested, deported back to their countries of origin and put on trial. There was a point being made here, that those values that they had rejected, the values that they went to war with, were now the values by which they were being judged with in the end. Treason is rarer than you may believe. As much as it may be thrown around as a political buzzword, it is seldom that individuals commit crimes that can be used by a prosecutor to make a case for treason to a jury. People who might come to mind, such as Aldrich Ames, an American CIA agent who sold out American spies in the Soviet Union in exchange for money, were in fact not charged with treason but espionage. The first person to be charged with treason in the United States after the Second World War was Adam Gaddan in 2005, an American convert to Islam who joined Al-Qaeda in the year 2000. The precedent for what to do with ISIS brides and captured ISIS fighters is to put them on trial, to subject them to the legal proceedings implemented by the value system they rejected. But also because just leaving them in some camp in a failed state would lend credibility to the notion of the Islamic State being a legal and social entity, a sovereignty to which one can simply emigrate to. Leaving those people in Syrian refugee camps is additionally in no way a punishment. It's kicking a can down the road, expecting it to not be kicked back into your garden. To tell a criminal that they can do as they please as long as they don't do it here. This can be called many things, but it isn't a punishment appropriate for the crime of betraying your country, joining a terrorist organization, slavery, murder, and genocide. More to the point, we do not know what will become of them. If former ISIS fighters and brides are simply left to themselves somewhere in a failed state, we don't know where they will re-emerge next. If they reappear several years down the line in a different failed state within a new iteration of the Islamic State, or if they plan to engage in attacks elsewhere. Leaving them to themselves is to basically gamble that these people will from now on only have intentions that align with our own intentions and desires for remaining unmolested by them. The most important point in all of this, however, is that these people rejected the values of the countries they abandoned. Not only rejected, but went to war with them. These people had the intention of defeating, undoing, and destroying the values of the modern free society governed by rules of law through elected representatives accountable to the public. This is not an immigration issue, and many conflate it as such. It, however, isn't. It is a crime and punishment issue, and crimes require investigation, trial, and punishment in any civilized society. These are not people who intended to emigrate into our societies. These are people who are products of our societies who chose to betray and harm us by committing crimes. Putting these people on trial would be a victory of these very values over the poisonous ideology that rejected those values in the first place. It would strip ideologues of their veneer of an ideological justification and show them to the world for what they truly are: mere criminals.